Nigeria and Republic of Niger to deepen bilateral relations.
Niger is going to become an oil exporting country, and so also increasing cooperation with Nigeria.
Tackle internal security challenges. President Buhari directs Acting Inspector General as gunmen attack police facilities in Southeast.
Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association suspend industrial action.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall continue our conversation on the admission process into tertiary institutions.
Well, according to the JAM Registrar, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, the admission of candidates into the academic year 2020-2021 is still ongoing and expected to end by the 15th of May 2021 for public institutions, while private-owned institutions are expected to conclude theirs by mid-June this year.
That's right, Nandabo. Now, this development has been occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, which paralyzed academic activities, coupled with the long industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU.
And the JAM Registrar, who joined others to speak on the admission process into tertiary institutions on Good Morning Nigeria last Thursday, said the dual admission plan is to enable candidates who could not get admission into public institutions to try their luck in the private ones.
Now, other guests on that edition of the program commended JAM for introducing the Central Admissions Processing System, that's CAPS, which they said has contributed substantially to curbing corruption in the admission process in the country in recent years.
And the guests wondered why some institutions should conduct admission without recourse to CAPS, which they said reflects the wish of the proprietors of institutions, both public and private.
Now, the guests advocated merit as the basis for admitting candidates into tertiary institutions, as against other criteria of catchment area, as well as educationally disadvantaged states, especially, they said, in the age of science and tech.
Truly, the guests, however, identified the 70-30 ratio of candidates seeking admission into tertiary institutions in favor of humanities as a major challenge towards technological advancement of the country.
Well, as the admission process continues into various institutions of higher learning across the country, what should be done to strengthen the central admissions processing system, and what efforts should also be made to help candidates improve their computer proficiency to enable them access relevant information to facilitate their admission, and what sanctions could be available for violators of CAPS?
And more still, is there any violator of CAPS sanctioned in the last 4 years to serve as deterrent to other institutions? And of course, how much of awareness have been given to parents and guardians on the dangers inherent in cutting corners in the admission process of their wards or children? These are some of the questions we intend to seek answers for, that is, as we continue our discussion on admission process into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. This is Good Morning Nigeria. I am Yusuf Nadabu Usman. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join my colleague Nadabo to also welcome you to the program, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll also have, in the course of the program, our complimentary segments, and these are newspaper review and business. For now, let's join Ifeoma Ojinta for the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Ifeoma.
Good morning, Kingsley and Nadabo. Welcome to the morning news. Nigeria and Republic of Niger have resolved to deepen and expand the highly beneficial ties between the two neighboring countries for the benefits of their people and economies. This was the high point of the high-level talks between President Muhammadu Buhari and the new President of the Republic of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum.
There's a joint commission, the Nigeria and Niger joint commission, and that hopes that President Muhammadu Buhari will also push for this joint commission to come up with concrete projects and proposals for the two countries to pursue. There's a railway line from Maradi to Katsina, which is also part of integrating the economies of the two countries. And that now Niger is going to become an oil exporting country, and so also increasing cooperation with Nigeria to promote and develop commerce for the advantage of the two countries.
The Acting Inspector General of Police, Usman Alkali Baba, has been tasked to bring his wealth of experience to bear towards tackling head-on and mitigating the internal challenges of security confronting Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the marching order at a strategic engagement with the new police chief.
The order is for me to do my best and to see how we can go about solving the problem of internal security in this country. I have also promised to change the narratives as far as internal security is concerned in this country. I am coming back for a full brief as to how I will go about it. I have taken over at a very crucial time, and I am fully aware of the situation in the country, and I am introducing what I feel will mitigate these security challenges in the country, and I have started implementing them, and I'm ready to come and brief the President so that we can get all the support that is necessary to go about it.
Meanwhile, the Zonal Police Headquarters, Zone 13, Ubo, Anambra State, has been attacked by suspected gunmen with offices and operational vehicles in the premises destroyed. The police headquarters, located along Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, is about 10 kilometers away from the state's capital, Awka. It came under attack in the early hours of yesterday. NTA gathered that about 20 unknown gunmen allegedly set the security outpost and some offices ablaze. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the government and people of Benue State over the tanker explosion that left several people dead in Agatu local government area of the state. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, indicates that the President, while commiserating with families of the victims, says he is worried by the frequency of the tanker explosion incidents on public roads or residential areas, and urges the road traffic authorities and transportation ministries to urgently address the problem. President Buhari added that public safety should not be compromised under any circumstances. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has urged the United States to lend its weight to the call for a just global transition to zero emissions, lead the effort to ensure easy access to COVID-19 vaccine by all countries, and generally reset its foreign policy agenda with the African continent in ways that bring about economic prosperity, increased security, and improved governance.
Of U.S. foreign policy agenda with Africa should promote a partnership that brings about economic prosperity, increases security, combats disease, improves governance, and mitigates the effects of climate change.
The Petroleum Tanker Drivers Association has suspended its ongoing strike following intervention by the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Mele Kyari. The GMD says NNPC will continue engagement with key players in the downstream to mitigate distribution challenges and promote business sustainability.
I've given commitment to both NATO and PTD that we will resolve the underlying issues within a week and come back to the table so that we'll have a total closure around the dispute.
Based on the commitment we have received from the Group Managing Director, we are going to ensure within the next 7 days that we are given that things will normalize and all necessary adjustments to their allowances will be discussed.
Our action is hereby suspended until another 7 days, which was promised by the Group Managing Director, NMPC.
And for an update on COVID-19, 70 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in the last 24 hours in 5 states of the Federation. In the figure released by NCDC, Lagos State has 27 new infections, Kaduna and Ondo states have 16 each, Yobe has 6, while Bauchi records 5 new cases. With this, Nigeria has 164,303 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 154,384 were treated and discharged, while the death toll remains at 2,061. And that concludes the morning news. Good Morning Nigeria continues with Kingsley and Nadabo after this break.
My name is Boss Mustafa, the Secretary to the Government and the Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. I've just had the rare privilege of taking my first dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can tell you that we are doing very well in terms of our response and the administration of the vaccines all over the country. As strategic leaders, we are supposed to lead by example, and the President did precisely that on Saturday with the Vice President, and we are continuing in that particular direction. The essence of taking these vaccines is to help us really fight this COVID-19 virus, and the combination of the non-pharmaceutical measures and the vaccine is the way to go in 2021 and thereafter.
Smartphone Network.
Choose Dano Milk for your family because 100% of our milk is sourced from our farms. This means that we control the entire production process from grass to glass, taking great care in every step to ensure the milk that gets to you is of high quality, great tasting, and enriched with essential nutrients that are great for your family. Available in Dano Cool Cow, Dano Full Cream, Dano Slim, and Dano Flavored Milk.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
Contemporary times require practical skills to remain competitive and relevant in your organization. Therefore, take advantage of NTA TV College short proficiency courses to sharpen your professional skills. Basic Broadcast Accounting and Auditing. Date 19th April to 30th April 2021. 2 weeks. Audio Engineering, Operations and Maintenance. Date 19th April to 23rd April 2021. 1 week. Protocol, Event Management and Public Relations. Date 3rd May to 14th May 2021. 2 weeks. Intermediate Camera Operation Techniques. Date 17th May to 11th June 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week course is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos. Training you to be the best you want to be.
Dialogue, empathy, love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
For all to be well, we appeal that we should refrain from volatile, provocative, inciting messages and language.
Let's build and not destroy.
Life is a game. We are cool. We are trendy. Energy moves us. Sports is our game, our oxygen. Because with the round leather, we ball. We hustle. All over the land, north and south, we are united in the positive glory. We are encapsulated by HIFL. We live for the game. It's game time. Showing on NTA Network.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. And today we shall be discussing admission processes in into tertiary institutions in Nigeria. Before we start, let's get going with the business news. And it says, development expert tasks Nigerian manufacturers and exporters on demands of export. Kunle Adeyeye has details of this.
With the African Continental Free Trade Agreement operational, the volume of trade, especially in Nigeria, will increase, being the largest market on the continent, and this will invariably compel other African markets to target Nigeria. A development economist, Dr. Emeka Okengu, enjoined Nigerian manufacturers and traders to stick to the three clear demands of exports in order to remain relevant. He said research should also be tied to business.
Demand number one is that for you to be able to keep a contract, you must have volume. Okay. Demand number two is that if you are able to get that contract, you must have quality. And demand number three is that if you're going to stay in the market, your price must be competitive. Okay, so this is now where you'll be needing some back-end support systems.
Dr. Okengu emphasized that the 50 billion naira export expansion facility program of the federal government will address some needs of the manufacturers. And here are the details of Monday's tradings, April 19, 2021, on the floor of the exchange. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
Thank you, Kunle Adeyeye, for the business package. Next for us now is newspaper review.
As usual, Bayo Achebi is already here. Good morning, Bayo. Welcome.
Thank you, Yusuf. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kinsley.
Right,
good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah.
Right, Kinsley, what do you have there?
Well, I have the Punch newspaper. It's a fairly busy front page. Above the nameplate, we'll take the following headlines. That's the Punch now. Oil firms borrowed 130 billion naira from banks in February. That's according to the central bank. Financial autonomy, JUSUN, that's the Judicial Services Workers Union, disagrees as Governors Forum fixes May date. That's for the takeoff of financial autonomy for the judiciary. Wike canvasses state ownership of minerals and government's royalty. Federal government admits revenues crashing, says Nigeria faces hard times. That's according to the Honorable Minister of Finance, and that story, of course, was taken from our conversation yesterday on Good Morning Nigeria with the Honorable Minister of Finance. Now, the lead story says fuel subsidy rises to 500 billion naira. NNPC rules out price hike. two riders. Nigeria should subsidize production, not consumption, says CRS. CRS is Cross River State Government. And lack of local refining capacity behind persistent subsidy. That's according to Gombe State. Details on page 23. Then you have three photographs there on the front page with the headline, NBA backs Johnson, vows to force governance compliance. INEC mourns as it loses 3 workers in Borno crash. Slain soldiers, Benue monarch and local government chief and councillor arrested. Igbo 2020 presidency now a possibility. That's according to Ohaneze. Gombe communal clash death toll rises to 21, curfew extended. Gunmen killed 3 and bandits doctors arrested in Kaduna. Contractors ground FCTA, that's Federal Capital Territory Administration, alleged diversion of COVID-19 funds, page 11. Nadabo.
Well, on the Daily Trust this morning, the front page has these stories. Expect judicial autonomy next month. Governor says so. Get that on page 4. And on page 6, 5 killed as gunmen attack police headquarters in Anambra. And then the main story this morning on Daily Trust is inflation. Nigerians groan as food prices skyrocket. 2 riders follow, and these are food inflation now 22.95% according to NBS, and the other one is workers lament static pay amidst price hike. Get details of this on page 5. At the bottom of the page, we have 3 stories. And these are no increase in petrol price in May, says NMPC. Details on page 7. And then on page 38, we will stabilize our region, Buhari tells Niger president. And on page 37, Uniger staff, students protest suspension of VC selection process. Bayo, what's up?
Well, let's start with the issue about increase in petrol price. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has told National Association of Road Transport Owners, as well as petroleum tanker drivers, that there will be no increase in the ex-depot price of petrol in May. Already around Abuja, queues are piling up at filling stations. Daily Trust reports that some youths have already come out with their jerry cans and are already selling petrol in jerry cans. Some stations around Katampe has been said reportedly shut down for this. But the group managing director, Mele Kyari, announced this after a meeting with the 2 bodies. He said petroleum tanker drivers were threatening to go on strike. Meanwhile, the 24 persons are said to have been arrested in connection with terrorism financing. 24 persons are said to be traders at the foreign exchange market and gold dealers in Wapa, Fagi local government area. They were arrested in March. It may be recalled that last month, Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Publicity, said some bureau de change operators facilitate transfer of money to Boko Haram and have been arrested. Billions of naira traced to the businesses of interest of these people have been blocked, and in a post-no deposit notices sent by the Central Bank and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. In another development, some soldiers have been arrested in the crackdown of suspect terrorism financing, that these they are disclosing the identities of civilians collaborators. Investigations revealed that these persons who are in contact with Boko Haram members and some other officers, these are alleged to have infiltrated and sabotaged efforts of the military to end insurgency. 20 soldiers arrested have been making revelations about their civilian collaborators. Also in Dikwa, troops of Operation Lafia Dole engaged terrorists who had gathered themselves together in 12 gun trucks to attack Dikwa. The air component of Operation Lafia Dole first softened them, and the soldiers have already gone in the mop-up operations, and they have taken over Dikwa and restoring order there. But in the southeast states, there have been 2 attacks in police stations. One was at Zone 13 headquarters, Ukpo. a zonal headquarters of the police command. The attack came in the very early hours of yesterday. The criminals murdered 2 policemen who gallantly prevented them from gaining access to the armory. They were able to neutralize 3 of the gunmen. Also in Oka, 4 persons were killed in what police describe as a clash between rival cult groups. 5 persons have been arrested. At Uzuakole, in Bende local government of Abia State, gunmen set ablaze the police station. The station was attacked at 2:30 a.m. It is the 3rd attack on police stations in Abia State since the end of the NSAS riot. Government of Abia State has raised alarm that they should watch out for hoodlums who are on the prowl to attack. There's already a curfew between 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. in parts of Abia State. The positive development that 8 repentant militants, kidnappers of the Niger Delta have undergone rehabilitation and have become pastors. The overseer of Omega Power Ministry, Chibozo Chinyere, says that the repentant militants turned a new leaf after divine encounter through evangelism. He says, I preached to them and they hearkened to salvation call and gave their lives to Christ. Initially, he says it was difficult because they were wanting to go back to their old ways, but he put measures in place. First, he changed their environment. Secondly, he got an estate and took them there, baptized them, and gave them teachings of the word of God. Secondly, he put their children in the school operated by the church and established businesses for their wives. We taught them how to be different skills, and some of them said they want to be pastors. So 8 of them are currently full-time pastors. The church has rehabilitated over 10,000. Who tells you that idle hand is not the devil's workshop?
That's right. I just would like to raise this again. It's been going on for several weeks. Do we have an understanding of what is happening in the Southeast, where criminal elements are attacking police formations? The other time it was a prison facility in Owerri, very close to the government house. Abia, we've had a number of incidents. Anambra, we've had a number of incidents. What is happening? Yeah, is this a playback of what we saw in the early stages of Boko Haram, when they were busy attacking police formations, sacking them and seizing their weapons? Is this an incipient insurgency in the Southeast? What is happening? I mean, when law enforcement agents and officers are perennial targets of violent criminals, there must be a reason, or there must be reasons. What is happening? They're not just attacking officers who are on the road or on the street and taking their weapons from them, but now they're also burning down their facilities.
Actually, they are targeting the nexus, the offices of the police officer, police stations.
Yes.
And therefore, I think the best thing is to put all stations on alert. And just like the president said the other time, anybody who is seen armed approaching a police station should be the danger of a peril, because he becomes a prime suspect. Persons who are carrying arms there's instructions given to security agents to shoot at them on sight.
You see, my greatest worry, Kingsley, is whenever they attack, okay, they don't just attack and then burn structures. They go straight to the armory. And in the case of the most recent one, as you said, 2 of the police personnel were killed, those who stood their grounds and wanted to stop them from, gaining access to the armory. Which means
they didn't get to the armory.
They didn't really, but really that's their own target most of the time.
Yes.
And it seems with this stockpile of arms, the ones they get, even if they're in pinches or whatever it is, they use it to perpetuate other attacks next time, which, continues unabated.
It's simple. I think the police high command must give strict instructions to police in those formations. From all immediate developments in that vicinity, targets are police stations. So all police stations must be on 24 hours alert.
That's one. They also attacked the zonal headquarters in the Southeast They attacked the zonal headquarters. The zonal headquarters, of course, has more administrative units, and ordinarily should be better fortified than a regular police station. They just raised it. It was raised. And the officers, you know, some of the videos that circulated came around, walking through the rubble and the ashes, and they were just saying to themselves, "Oh, my office was burnt," and so on and so forth. Now, where is also prior intelligence? Prior intelligence. You know, this is part of what we're talking about. Yes, are these just freelance operatives? People will sit down somewhere and say, "This is what we want to do." They are communicating, and there's no interception. There's nothing. There's no attempt at stopping them in their tracks before they commit this havoc. Lagos that suffered severe hemorrhage during the NSAS demonstrations because police stations were, but Lagos hasn't fully recovered. If you recall, Lagos hasn't fully recovered. And here in the southeast, they just, you know, burning police. The other point is, okay, they attacked the Owerri prisons. How many of the inmates have been recaptured, or how many of them have returned voluntarily? Last year, if you recall, 2 of the prisons in Benin during the harsh NSAS protests were also stormed and the inmates freed. Some of them hardened criminals. The one on Sapele, the other one at Oko. How many of the inmates have been recaptured? How many of them have returned? A number of them were, of course, have slithered into the population, probably just causing all kinds of atrocities.
A few of them have been rearrested, indulging in other criminal activities again. Well, the other story, I think you'll be discussing about university admission this morning. Yeah. University of Abuja has put out a statement that university is not, the university and not any external body that is challenged with the power of admissions. This is in reaction to the statement by the Joint Admission Matriculation Board that the university was engaging in illegal admissions. But the university says why it states that it has not conducted any illegal admission and has nothing to hide over its admission exercise. It asserted that it is the only university that has the nation as its catchment area, and it admits students from all states of the federation. And whatever it does is open and available for scrutiny. And it asserted that by the University Miscellaneous Provisions Amendment Act of 2003, it is only the Senate of the university that have powers on all academic matters, including organization and control of teaching and research admission of students, and not any external body. So there's some controversy.
Good enough. The university is coming out with a statement.
Yes.
And of course, as being the topic this morning, we shall really see how we'll be able to substantiate the claims of the university on this issue this morning and discuss it further. But I want us to look at this issue of petrol and then the PMS development, which is a bit worrisome too. The tanker drivers said they have really suspended their strike for 7 days since yesterday, I believe. And today, this morning even, from all the way we came, we haven't seen any filling station or any dispensing place, selling petrol. I don't know. The strikes normally, if it's for 7 days, you may not be surprised that this scarcity may linger for the next 7 days and then they continue. If enforcement is not really taken, to the highest level.
The few filling stations I saw this morning, many of them were not open. The few that were open, there were long queues there. That is to say that there is apparently either a shortage in supply of fuel to the filling stations, or some of them are locking up and are not ready to sell, anticipating probably there will be an increase in price. The NNPC has debunked that and said that between now and May, there will not be any increase. But the grounds that the petrol tankers had and the other transport association, they met with the GMD NNPC yesterday, and they said they have resolved that. So let's see how that pales out. But this has been lingering. It's because of the policy that subsidy has been removed, and currently, pump price will fluctuate along with the crude oil price in the world market.
Which is why, we have said it, Notable and Bayo, whenever crude oil prices rise now, there's no need for us to celebrate. Yes, more money into the national coffers, but it also means that the pump price of refined petroleum products also goes up. if you're having this deregulated environment in which we are operating. So, and again, the key question has to do with our local refining capacity. To a large extent, you know, I didn't bother with the details of why tanker drivers were on strike or that. Everybody's on strike. So virtually, you know, you wake up tomorrow, you say you are giving you 7 days. ASUP, that is the Polytechnic teacher. So you just ask yourself, you know, how do you make sense?
Jusun?
Of all of it. Jusun, again, that's another very important thing. But, you know, Jusun, I think that state governors, they also should be conscious of history. Because I've asked myself this question, are state governors enablers of our democracy, or they are impediments to the full realization of our democratic ideals? Local governments emasculated by state governors.
Yes.
Houses of assembly emasculated by state governors. State judiciaries emasculated by state governors. If the federal government were doing the same thing, would we have a democracy in Nigeria? So you have to be begging state governors, and they're now saying, okay, we are going to agree on a date in May when we will grant autonomy to the judiciary. What is the whole principle of separation of powers, which is at the heart of our Republican democracy? 3 tiers of government, 3 arms of government. So what is it that we are talking about? So we have to plead with governors. Workers have to go on strike for you to grant autonomy to the judiciary. And everybody knows it has to do with the levers of control, which is why in a great number of cases, some governors or most governors have been referred to as emperors.
Yes.
And you can only do this for 8 years. After that, what happens?
Well, yesterday, the chairman of the Governors Forum said they went to the meeting under the auspices of the Chief of Staff to the President, and the Solicitor General were there, and all the parties, including Conference of Speakers, they were all there. They have agreed, and with effect from May, it will come. But Jusun is saying that they cannot wait, it has to be now.
Why did you have to take a strike by Jusun for this to be implemented? Anyway,
that's it. I mean, that's Nigeria for you. Things are just happening anywhere, anyhow. We thank you so much, Bayo.
Thank you, too.
Tomorrow is going to be another day. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria, and we're reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. I will now take a break. Stay with us.
شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن.
The Muslim Ummah are cordially invited to the 15th NTA, FRCN and Voice of Nigeria Ramadan lecture, scheduled for date 24th April 2021, time 9 a.m. inshallah. Topic: Causes and Solutions to Nigerian Security Challenges, the Islamic Perspective. Guest lecturer, Sheikh Dr. Jabir Sani Mehula, Head of Department, Arabic and Islamic Studies, Sokoto State University, Sokoto. The venue for the event is Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Close, off Jabi Road East, off Sultan Road, Kaduna. Chairman of the occasion, His Royal Highness Ambassador Ahmed Nuhubamali, Emir of Zazzau. Special guest of honor, His Excellency Malan Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, the Executive Governor, Kaduna State. Hosts Yaqub Ibn Muhammad, Director General NTA, Dr. Mansour Liman, Director General FRCN, Dr. Sita Okechuku, Director General Voice of Nigeria. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
The organizing committee invites you to the public presentation and launch of books, Emerging Issues and Thought in Contemporary Public Law, a compendium of essays, and a beacon of justice, selected judgments and rulings, written in honor of Honorable Justice Paul Adamu Galumje, JSC, under the distinguished chairmanship of Lieutenant General T.Y. Danjuma, GCON, FSS, PSC, retired. Date 21st April 2021, time 2 p.m. Venue, Shehu Musai Eradua Center, 1 Memorial Drive, Central Business District, Abuja. Chief Presenter, His Excellency Nyesom Ezenwonwike, Executive Governor of Rivers State. For more details, call 0909-412-2222.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
as Oni of Ife, as someone who cares about the well-being and safety of our people. It's time for each and every one of us to realize that COVID-19 is real and it has killed millions of people around the world. Scientists have developed this vaccine. The vaccine is safe for everyone and it contains no microchip, nor can it alter our DNA. However, we must continue to stay safe and stay clean, wear face masks, clean our hands on a regular basis, and try as much as possible to avoid a very large crowd and gathering. For those who choose to be vaccinated, it will go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19.
Life is a game. We are cool. We are trendy. Energy moves us. Sports is our game, our oxygen. Because with the round leather, we ball. We hustle. All over the land, north and south, we are united in the pursuit of glory. We are encapsulated by HIFL. We live for the game. It's game time. Showing on NTA Network.
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you from the Nigerian Television Authority. And this morning we're discussing admission processes into tertiary institutions. And to begin our discussion on part 2 of the admission process into tertiary institutions, let's take a source from part of our discussion put together by Abdul Salam Jibril.
Since 2017, in order to be transparent in what we are doing, we established what we call CAPS, Central Admission Processing System. And what CAPS does is that, one, it returns the right to admit candidates. It returns that right to the institutions, because prior to that, 2017, it's possible for JAM to give admission to a candidate.
The rights to admit students to universities is embedded in the statutory rule of JAM, but not without the contribution of the institutions. And it's surprising at this time to see that there are institutions that will go outside JAM to admit. The process is laid down, the procedure is clear. No admission should go without following through the CAPS.
There is a standing, guidelines, for admission process generally, in the higher institutions, more especially in the tertiary institutions, universities. And one of these guidelines is as stipulated by JAM. Once you can be able to go through the guidelines, you may not have a lot of hitches, except, and I said where, maybe the university itself had its own standing rules or expectations from students. But the standing rules or guidelines, even by the federal government, are the candidate, must first of all, get the required, point from JAM. And then secondly, you must be able to at least have your SSC.
There should be a group, volunteer group, handled by JAM, coordinated by JAM. They have offices in every state. Volunteers from all the institutions, 1-2 persons, so that just before the exercise begins, we can go to these secondary schools and educate them. Because somebody want to read engineering, subjects for JAM subjects for engineering is physics, math, chemistry. Then you now see a subject combination. He has brought in accounting or some other social science courses. So most of them don't get admission because of that. They have very high score, but the subject combination is wrong.
I also want to, at this point, suggest that actually instead of you looking at this criteria, the Nigerian government or the Nigerian, this education system should be looking at, the issue of merit, or try to uplift the status of particularly science, technology, innovation programs in the universities.
All right, now those were excerpts from part one of the conversation on the admission process into tertiary institutions, and that conversation took place last Thursday. Of course, there are a number of issues that are arising from that first part and other matters that we were unable to touch. But happily, we have with us again for today's conversation, right here with us in the studios, Professor Ishaq Oloyede. He is the Registrar and CEO of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations JAMB. He is also a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ilorin. Professor Oloyede, delighted to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, the world.
All right, and from our Kano Network Center, we are being joined by Professor Shehu Alhaji Musa, who is Vice Chancellor, Kano University of Science and Technology. Professor Alhaji Musa, pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Yusuf. And good morning, Registrar and other colleagues.
And joining us via Zoom from Ota is Professor Oludele Ojediron, Vice Chancellor, Bells University of Technology, Ota, Ogun State. It's nice having you with us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, my registrar. Good morning, colleagues.
All right, gentlemen, once again, our pleasure to have you join us on this conversation. Substantially, my colleague and I, that's to say Nadabo and I, were on set last week, and when we were discussing the admission procedure, we tended to weigh more on admission into public universities, and in particular, federal universities, where the criteria for admission are more clearly spelled out. For instance, this year the cutoff is 200, I believe, 200 over 400, and then the universities are obligated to use the criteria of merit, catchment area, and the discretionary, which is generally labeled as educationally disadvantaged states, to pull in their candidates for admission. We didn't quite have the benefit of a private university, nor did we have the benefit of the presence of a state university to also indicate to us. The JAMB registrar, of course, did say that private universities and state universities, state-owned universities, do also have their criteria. So today we are happy that the Vice Chancellor of the Kano University of Science and Technology, Professor Shehu Alhaji Musa, is joining us from Kano for today's conversation. So let's begin. We may, of course, return subsequently to admission processes into federal universities, but let's begin with the Vice Chancellor of Kano State University of Science and Technology. How do candidates get admitted into your institution?
Once again, good morning, everybody. I think from the onset, let's understand that I do not see much difference in terms of admissions into state universities and admissions into federal universities. We need to understand that basically universities are universal, and therefore you tend to have certain commonality of issues that guide the operations of universities. If I can be specific to Kano University of Science and Technology, I can assure you for the last, since the establishment of the university have fully adhered to all the regulations that governs admissions in public universities. For example, the issue of merit is been observed. The issue of educationally disadvantaged issues has been observed, and all other surrounding issues dealing with registrations, admissions of our students have been observed. I can authoritatively tell you that even though we are a state university, but we admit students from all over the federation. I hope the registrar of JAM will remember sometime he was in the university and we had some of these discussions. And I have been a proponent for a very long time. I think for the last 7 years or so, I have been a proponent of, admitting, students from all over the federation, whether it is a state university, whether it is a federal university, whether it is a public university. And we can do this smartly without actually affecting the system to a certain level. I remember when we met with the registrar, I think about 5-6 years back or so, we had these discussions that if universities will give only 0.5% of their admission to all states of the federation, when you put that together, you see that you 36 states, you have roughly about 16% of your admission. And that 16% of your admission give a national picture, or rather give the university a national focus in terms of admitting students from all over the federation in such a way that they can mingle together, they can study together, and this will now help us in terms of addressing the issue of national cohesion. Perhaps as a state university, there are emphasis that you need to do, and I think this is basically because of the huge a demand in terms of access to university education. For example, if you have 2 million people, you cannot admit 40% of it. Then naturally there are, tendencies that are bound to have some, competition will strengthen, and you'll be able to find some things that probably may not be as working as best as you would probably project. But I can assure you authoritatively in Kano University of Science and Technology, we admit students from all over the federation. Any state that is not represented is because probably they have not shown interest or they have not applied. And in that case, you have limit as to what extent can you actually move on from Kano to move to other states, begin to ask people to come. But I can assure you, we are having strategically this in mind, even though chunks of our admissions is from Kano, and perhaps the neighboring states also take some advantage in terms of Jigawa, in terms of Katsina, in terms of Zamfara, in terms of Kaduna, in terms of Bauchi, in terms of Yobe, and all other close-by states, and even including those that are a little bit far away. For example, Sokoto, Kebbi, North Central, all of them. I can assure you that chunks of the people that you have from Kogi State are many, and from other North Central states. So for me, I think basically there is no much difference in terms of what public universities criteria of admissions, and then criteria of admissions in state universities. Like I said, universities are supposed to be universal, and I think this opening in terms of admission from all over the federation will now encourage national cohesion. It will encourage peace and stability. It will enable a better understanding among our teeming youth. Once you stay together with somebody for 4 years or 5 years together in the same class, certainly the bond of understanding is being created, the bond of friendship is being created, the bond of partnership is being created, and the bond of national understanding will be created. And I think this is something that probably the other organs of government can really take this into consideration. We are doing, I think, basically the right thing because we are there to do the right thing. And I can also assure you that perhaps this year's case for 2021, Kano University of Science and Technology has been in the best pedestal of handling the situations. When COVID set in, we were our student for 2019-2020 academic session did not actually have the opportunity to get registered. And so when this happens, we then talk to JAM, and I'm happy that JAM answered our call, and they gave us all the necessary understanding, and therefore we're able to match the two sessions, 2019 and 2020 and 2020-2021 session. And I speak to you at the moment, we have already completely finished our admissions for the 2021. The students have registered. We have gone on mid-term break, and they are now to complete theirs. So basically, Kano University of Science and Technology have stabilized its calendar, even though with the COVID-19 predicament and challenges. So basically, I think this is an area where we all need to be innovative, we all need to be cooperative, and we all need to work as a team. probably including, JAM is a partner in progress for all Nigerian universities, and I feel that JAM should also take all Nigerian universities as partner in progress. We have been doing this for quite a long time, peacefully, without, over-sensationalization of issues, and I think both JAM and universities, whether federal, whether state, we all need to key into these issues to ensure that we work together as a team. As the saying goes, let's do more of the building work now, rather than issues that will now put us apart or put us at barrier to one another. My clarion call to all of us is that if there are issues that need to be addressed, there are in-house ways that we really need to address them. If, for example, brothers fight, it does not mean that it should be forever. If there are issues that need to be addressed, the opening should be there for these issues to be addressed. The JAM should...
All right, Professor Shehu, thank you very much there for your opening comments, but I just want to observe that there is a sense in which some of the explanations you gave tended to be normative, what should happen, what is happening now. Let's clarify this from the point of view of a state-owned university. Now, at the federal universities, the criteria, as I indicated, and as you very well know, are merit, catchment area, and educationally disadvantaged states. Now, merit is 45%. Catchment area is some 35%, and disadvantaged locations about 20% or so. What criteria, what are the numbers you allocate to these issues? Yes, you say you admit students from all over, and so on and so forth. What percentage do you allocate for merit? What percentage do you allocate for catchment? And what percentage do you allocate for disadvantaged states in terms of their educational progress?
For Kano University of Science and Technology, we take on merit and we work on 45%. We also work on the catchment areas. We also work on the educationally disadvantaged state. But one thing that you also need to understand, Mr. Kingsley, is that even if you want to go on merit of 45%, which the university is currently doing, even within the state alone, you can still get this 45% that will scale on this basis of merit position. So naturally, I think it's like I said, it's not an issue of the fact that you just do arbitrary admissions and you admit everybody without any criteria. You need to understand the quantum of students that are now trying to get admissions into universities is relatively huge. And ordinarily, like I've told you, even from the state, for example, if you take Kano State alone, this is the University of Science and Technology. We already have, the feelers that feed, our science and technology education, right from what we call the Dawaki experiment. So you still have, even within the merit, because the merit did not exclude those that are within the states. So basically, by and large, like I've told you, the percentages that has been appropriated for this, in most cases, particularly in Kano University of Science and Technology, we try to address it. Maybe it may not be 100%, as religiously as, probably it may be applied in federal universities. It may not necessarily be as religiously applied in state universities. And this depends on, the visitor that you have. Some of the visitors in some other state universities may not necessarily be understanding of this scenario. But I can assure you, for Kano University of Science and Technology, as a visitor to the university, the executive governor of Kano State, Dr. Lomo Granduja, has been supportive of the university to do the right thing and to do what is universally accepted for university to operate. I can assure you authoritatively that he has not at any point in time send this list of students they want to be admitted because they are from Kano. So we try as much as possible to adhere to all the national provisions from Kano University of Science and Technology. This may not be necessarily the same for all state universities because the nature of the visitor, like I've told you, or proprietors of these state universities matters. For example, there are vice chancellors of state universities that doesn't even have the privilege of getting to their visitor for 2-3 years to even see him and discuss. But What I want to assure you, Mr. Kingsley and others, is that Kano University of Science and Technology, not on normative terms, but even in terms of, figures and working figures, and these issues are issues that can be verified at any point in time.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Professor Shehu Alhaji Musa, Vice Chancellor, Kano University of Science and Technology. That's a state-owned university. Now, as the background has been laid, Professor Oludele Oje Duran, Vice Chancellor of Bells University of Technology, Ota. This is a private university. And of course, last week when we discussed, we didn't have the advantage of having, that segment or that group in the discussion. And of course, we really want to find out exactly how it is going out there in the private institutions or rather private universities. Your institution, which of course you represent, is one institution that will really give us an insight into how admissions are being conducted as far as CAPS and JAMS, criteria are concerned. How is it going? 2020-2021 admissions session. How are you going about it?
Good morning, Nigeria, and good morning, the registrar and the convener. I want to thank you for having me on board this morning. I want to also comment the last speaker on the procedure. The private universities, or at least Bells University of Technology, is regulated by the rules of JAM when it comes to admission. Our admission for the year 2020-2021 is on, in fact, has been completed, and matriculations are taking place. We follow the JAM laid down regulations, and these are quite easy to follow now based on the procedures laid down by JAM. This is virtually put in place, and they are simple procedures. Our admissions are place all candidates on a level playing ground. All you need to have is the 5 credits required for the course you want to run and meet our cut-off mark. But we didn't have a problem with COVID because we went online. We had these virtual teaching classes. We were teaching online. We had the exams online. So we didn't have a problem with 2019 and 2020. The 2020-2021 admission started immediately. JAM opened the CAPS and admissions went on. And we have admitted enough according to our carrying capacity. It is our carrying capacity that determines who we pick and who we do not pick. However, all candidates are on a level playing ground. Once you meet our cut-off marks and have the relevant 5 credits required for the programs you have applied for. Where you come from, who you are, does not matter, so long as you have the requisite qualification and the requisite cut-off marks for our university, as stated by the university and accepted by JAM. But the students must be on the CAP to accept our university as well as the JAM accepting them before we register them. Ours do not have much of this caught in the wheel of where you come from, whether catchment area or whether merit, or all of them are merit, so long as you meet our cut-off and normal 5 credits required. Does that satisfy you, sir?
Professor Ojediro, thank you very much. You've said it a bit repeatedly that provided the candidates meet our cutoff mark. Now, we know that after the UTME, the JAM normally would have a meeting with the vice chancellors, and then they agree on a cutoff mark depending on the performance that year. So there is a JAM cutoff mark. For you in your university, what is then your own cutoff mark? Is your own cutoff mark the same as that of JAM in the first instance, or it is different? And then when you say meeting the requirements of the specific course you want to study, obviously that would derive from having the number of 5 credits that you need. But there's another point. You talked about carrying capacity. And that has always been a thorny point in the admission of candidates into both private and public universities in particular. So tell us, what is your own cutoff and how do you play around or deal with the issue of carrying capacity and a deluge of applications?
At the meeting, the usual annual meeting with JAM, the cutoff marks are selected and are taken. For our university, the cutoff mark is 160, and that was decided at the JAM meeting, which holds every year. Now, the credit required depends on the program you want to study. For instance, for engineering, we are a University of Technology. For engineering programs, we have English, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. Those are the 5 credits that are required. When I say our carrying capacity, the carrying capacity has been given by NUC. For our university, the maximum is 5,000 for now, 5,000 candidates. So once we get to our carrying capacity for the entire university, we stop admissions. Now for this year, we have a capacity of 1,400, and we took exactly 1,000 students in. We expect 6 seats that have been admitted and are still being regularized. When I mean carrying capacity, I mean carrying capacity for the entire university. And that's what regulates us. We do not go beyond our carrying capacity. Carrying capacity also means that our facilities will be able to cater for this maximum number.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Ojediron. Let's hear from the host, if I may use that word now. You've been in this one for quite a while.
The host of CAPS.
The host of CAPS, that is.
Thank you very much. And my colleagues who had contributed, I just want to supplement what they have said. The question is, what are the criteria? And for state, let's get it right. The criteria for admission will be determined by the proprietors of the institutions. That's the first thing. The law, JAMB law made that clear. The proprietors. If you are federal government gives us through the Federal Ministry of Education, Federal Executive Council say, these are the criteria. That is for federal government. The state governments give their respective, it's not uniform. They give their respective criteria. The private universities also have their criteria depending on the private university, the proprietor. Each proprietor determines, and that's why at the beginning of admission every year, JAMB will ask each institution, we have sent the result of your candidates to you. What do you want as your minimum score that you want to take from UTME? All of them individually will return to us before policy meeting. Oh, I want to take 120 because of what I've seen. I want to take 140. I want to take 160. Or we will compile the list. And that's one. The second stage is, what are the criteria approved for you by your proprietor?
Before we get down to the second one, is there no benchmark for the...
No. There is a benchmark, but how we arrive at it, I just wanted to take everything, but I can jump to it.
Right.
Is that after you go to policy meeting, at the policy meeting we then determine you want 120. All the heads of the tertiary institutions, their registrars and their admission officers will jump 2 or 3 from each institution with the Ministry of Education. The Minister of Education is the chairman of the policy meeting. And with the board of them, we now look at all their criteria. Oh, I want 120, I want, no. Policy will now determine, okay, given what all of you, at times we vote. And we'll now come to, this is the minimum for every, when you say minimum, it does not mean that everybody must, because some people say that of Unilag is different. Minimum means minimum. That is, nobody should take any score below 160, for example. University of Ibadan may say, my score, we have seen it, University of Ibadan will say 200 is my minimum. If you get to that meeting, you can't say no because you have said 200 and they say 160, your own will go to 160. No, you have chosen 200. The policy is affect only those people who are chosen below the minimum. That, oh, those of you who chose below the national, please upgrade to the. So it doesn't mean that the person who has chosen 200 must accept 160. JAMB will not even allow him to say the cutoff this year is 160. No, you have chosen 200 and it has to be. If you now find out that you can't have enough candidates, there is a procedure that you have to write to say, sorry, what I have chosen is unrealistic and I want to. And we will now go into the process to make sure that in between this time, you have not changed some candidates. So we look at all those. That's one of the things. The second one is we ask you, determine the criteria by your proprietor. For instance, if you want to go to University of LASU, Lagos State University, their criteria, almost all of them. But we do one thing. Even if your proprietor approves something that is like the VC of Woodil mentioned, university is universal. If your proprietor determines that there will be no merit, we will engage the proprietor and say, no, don't do that. I give example of a state university where the State House of Assembly said for medicine, law, and so on, you will divide, the merit will be according to local government. That is, what they said is that we have 14 local governments. Pick the best from each of the local government, not necessarily the merit. We engage the House of Assembly. We told them that in order to task the lecturer, in order to task the students, there must be high-scoring candidates, brilliant students, otherwise the whole class will go down. You may say your merit should be within your state because it's your state. Anybody who goes there, who applies to your university, who is not from your state, you can say no, we are not taking them. But we even agree with almost all the states of the federation that at least 10% of your merit must be national and international merit. That is, if you want to admit 100, 10 of them, no matter where they come from, for the improvement of your class, take them. That is the merit. And all the states, without any exception, agree that 10% of their admission is what we call national and international merit. Even if they come from one same mother, they will be taken because of their brilliance. And when we talk of merit, it's not just the score in UTME. It is the score in UTME plus the post-UTME conducted by the institution, plus the WASC in some cases graded the WASC score, that if you have A1, A2, all these are combined to get the merit list. When the Vice Chancellor of Bells University was talking a moment, I went on to CAPS now, and I went to see everything he was saying, because I could see, I went to his accounting here now, and I could see that in accounting, those who applied to CAPS, to Bells University in accounting now, there are 42. And you will see those they did not pick. They did not pick number 20 on the list. And when we look at it, look here, it's false. False means that person did not upload his result. So they will jump him, and they will, okay, to show it like this. So they will jump him and go to, they did not, there are candidates they will not pick, like number 39. And I look at it, it's false. You can see this blue. Blue means that they are doing the everything correctly. If you see a gap like this, there is a problem. On my own system, when somebody jumps a high-scoring candidate to go and pick, there will be an alert that this person you have picked, you have to explain why you are, but you set your criteria. The state and the federal, they are not the same for federal. If you want to go to LASU, for example, if you come from anywhere, say you come from Australia, once you fall within the first 10%, you will be taking. That is their merit. Secondly, they will now take 35% of the merit on Lagos. That is, if you are from Oyo, they will jump you, and they will be going down, they will pick their own merit for 35. Then they still have, and this their merit, they will also determine it. If you are a staff, for instance, we had a very nasty case the year before where somebody wrote to JAMB and was threatening to go to court that I am from Oyo, I applied to LASU, I score higher than this candidate, and this candidate is also from Oyo, and this candidate had been chosen and I have not been chosen. He sent all the papers to us and we investigated. We now discovered that the father of the other Oyo, who scored lower, is a staff of LASU. And by their own, anybody working in LASU is given the same treatment as indigenes of Lagos. That's part of their criteria. The proprietors. And we wrote to the candidate. You are free to go to court if you want, and we will provide it. But the truth of the matter is that the father is this. Oh, at the end of the day, the person saw this. The criteria, the proprietors determine the criteria, and where we believe that the criteria were not well spent, we engage the governors, we engage all the proprietors, private institutions, and we tell them, why don't you do it this way? But unfortunately, in Nigeria, people don't want things to work according to plan. If you want to admit somebody, whether you are private, you are public, set the standard. Ours is to moderate, to ensure that the standard you set by your proprietor is maintained. You cannot, for instance, Bells University now, there are people who apply to Bells. They have chosen University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Now you now see, oh, there is vacancy in Bells and I want to cross to Bells. There is a procedure. Immediately you apply for change of course, your name will automatically appear on Bells list. We don't need to send anything to them. Once you apply and it's approved, you appear immediately on caps of Bells, and Bells will look at you. If they want to take you, no candidate can be admitted. That's one of the values of caps. No candidate can be admitted except the candidate is proposed by the admission officer of that university, recommended by the vice chancellor or provost or rector of that institution, and it's approved by JAMB. And so, when it is approved, you are now free to go and do what. But what we find is that there are some very few institutions, because of so many factors, they will not even propose a candidate. They will offer the candidate admission. They will even collect money from the candidate. And after collecting the money, they will now realize when they now want to upload to CAPS, CAPS will say, no, this candidate is not qualified because there are higher scoring candidates. So you can't jump them. They will now go back to the candidates from whom they have collected money to say, oh, I can't give you mercy again. I will now, because of CAPS, I will post you. And the parents will now be writing JAMB. Please, we are begging you. This is the letter of admission from the university. But the university cannot. Of course, they won't have letter of admission. They can't go on NYC. There are inbuilt mechanisms that will make them without having the proper admission. That's number one. Number two, they also distort the statistics of the nation. I give you an example. I was at an international seminar about 2 years ago and I was embarrassed. I gave the statistics of admission for the previous year at that forum. The next session, I want to give the statistics. It's no longer the same. And coming from the same me, what happened was that I gave them the figure and I said, we admitted 560 candidates into tertiary institutions last year. This year now, when they asked me, how many candidates did you admit last year? I said 700. So for that same year, I said yes. What happened? There are illegally admitted candidates that year that they did not disclose. Now, at the point of graduation, these candidates cannot go on NYC. They cannot do anything. There will be pressure. Then they call what they call regularization of irregular admission. As you are regularizing them, you are increasing the number for that year. So the statistics that National Bureau of Statistics are giving is no longer static, because at the time of disclosure, they did not give full disclosure. Some of them are even changing the proprietors, because the number admitted will be used to calculate what they have admitted. And at the end of the day, you will find out that they have admitted more. There is a particular institution that admitted 20% of the candidates 2 years ago, 20% illegal admission. What we have done with CAPS is that no regularization from 2017. And when pressure came, we said, okay, what we will do, because we have spent the national resources to train these people. Here is a medical doctor now. He had been illegally admitted. No number, no registration. He didn't even take UTME, but he was kept in the university and he went through. Here is the person who had graduated now, and pressure had come. We now created what we call condonment of illegal admission. You don't call it regularization. What we do is that the head of that institution will fill an indemnity form that I agree that I actually admitted this person, or my predecessor actually admitted this person illegally. And I want to indemnify the board about it. They will make full disclosure. In some cases, the candidate did not even meet the requirements. We have a person who read medicine, who didn't have chemistry, O-level chemistry. But here is the person, here is he in front of you. What do you do? In some cases, you say, okay, go back, go and when you present your O-level chemistry, we will now ask the university to accept his error. These are the things we have been doing over the years. And we believe that we have reached a level now that even while clearing the mess that had been created, we shouldn't create more mess. And what we are insisting on, of course, the law that established JAMB has so much empowered the board on what to do, what to sanction, and what to. And the law says clearly, irrespective of anything in the law of any institution, once you are a university, you are a polytechnic, you are a college of education, you are IEI, no matter what your law says, the law of JAMB has said irrespective of anything existing. But what we do is to engage this institution. Where we... Yes.
Complete that,
yes.
Prof. Irrespective of the provisions of any institution. So what does JAMB...
What is the
empowerment clause?
JAMB is the one that will place candidate, that will admit candidate for you. But we do it in conjunction with you. And that is why we are asking, oh, bring this one, let's meet together, this is what we do. But eventually the power to admit, anybody who admits any candidate outside the board, what we have not been doing is that we have not been holding people personally responsible.
That
we
is
would
an
say
issue I wanted to talk
personally, but now indemnity form contains it, that you will be personally liable for violation. It's not just as vice chancellor, as rector, in your father's name. And that is the process.
Not ex officio.
Not ex officio. So that is what, and all of them is clear. We agree on it. This is indemnity. You will be personally held responsible. And the admission officers, why some of them are very careful, is that once you open CAPS, it will be clear to you, you are the initiator of the admission. Irrespective of any instruction given to you, any admission you process without following the rule, you will be personally held responsible. And that's why many of the 99% of the admission officers, they will prefer to be removed from that center than to do what was wrong.
Okay, how do you respond to the claim that JAMB is usurping the powers of admission of the Senate of a university. We have seen that. I mean, let's be blatant.
Yeah.
This is coming from the University of Abuja. If you recall, we discussed this last week, and they say that you are usurping their powers.
I leave them. I don't engage my colleagues on the law empowers us to do what we are doing. And of course, that was the first time since I assumed office that I will hear any institution talking of usurpation. It has never. What is happening is that when somebody does what is wrong and you apply the sanction, you don't expect the person to just raise his hand because the laws are so clear. And I don't need to discuss that. Decisions are taken. Then the minister must then be usurping the power because the minister is the one who presided over the policy meeting. And immediately, not less than 2 weeks after the policy meeting, the decisions were communicated to every vice chancellor. This is the policy meeting as approved by the meeting presided over by the minister. So if somebody is on institution is saying, oh, my Senate, my something, I think that person wants to create just a defense, and we should tolerate such thing. But the truth of the matter is that the law is very clear. If there was no need for the establishment of JAMB would not have been there. But for me, I believe we may have problems like any other institutions, but we are doing as much as we can. If any institution violates it, we don't just issue instruction. The first thing we do is to engage the university. There is no university that we will mention the name of the university publicly that is not a serial offender. It will not be the first time that the person, for instance, we will have engaged that university the previous year. You did this thing, please be warned. If the person now go, you know what happened between us and the University of Benin 2 years ago. The University of Benin, after some bragado, they realized, they apologized. Oh, no, you must publicly apologize for what you have done. And then let's go ahead with what we are doing. It's just, that's how to develop a system. If we allow everybody to behave according to his whim, then there will be no order.
But, Prof, University of Abuja has been claiming they didn't do anything wrong.
Oh,
that is
no,
one.
They have not claimed.
And secondly, there are questions all over being asked that if JAMB is the regulator, and of course universities will be held responsible for certain wrongdoers, and as you said, some staffers of university could be held responsible individually for certain actions. So far, how far in trying to check this and seeing that these laws are applied and they become deterrent? So many, how many have so far been, punished? And then what would the public say about this rule?
For me, I think it's not about punishment. It is more about doing the right thing, correcting errors, and moving forward. But where there is flagrant, you need to make 1 or 2 scapegoats so that people will know that laws are there to be obeyed. If you, I tell an institution that if, for instance, you mention University of Abuja, let University of Abuja, I have admission letters here. Admission letter of candidates who are prepared to go to court, who had been admitted, but as at this morning, one good thing, which you may know, yesterday when I learned that I was to appear here, I went to Abuja CAPS to look at it. And I'm happy that they have now quickly uploading so many of the candidates. They don't know that there is a date and time stamp on what they are doing. Where somebody who score 80, you leave him, you left the person, and you now pick somebody who scores 60. And we refuse to approve because what is the offense of these people? That's the question we're asking. But in the last 48 hours, they've started uploading those gaps. And I was just smiling because even if you do it, and I told my people, approve as they are Once they are okay, go on and approve them. But the stamp is there. The time you approve them, why did you recommend somebody with 60 earlier than the person with 80? Once they do what is right, there is no problem. But there are people. For instance, I was looking at one of the candidates that had been admitted to law. There is no way that person can be admitted to law because it's number 300 and something on the list. Even if you want to, there is no way that candidates can come in because there are higher, better candidates on the list from the same state of the person. So what we are saying is that there must be fairness.
Okay.
Yes, there must be. I like the way that Woodil put it. Was it Bells University, VC Bells University, said that level playing ground for everybody. Many of these private, of course, the private universities, they don't have much problem because except for very few of them, they don't even feel their carrying capacity. So when people go there, people are giving all sorts of conditions for public institutions because the demand is more than the supply. But when you go to many of these private universities, the demand is not as high, and it's because of finance that people know that. But if I have the opportunity of attending fee-paying, free fee-paying institution, tuition fee, why do I need to go to fee-paying? That's the problem. But we are trying and things are getting improved. But for public universities, either federal or state, there are rules largely. I have seen, and these caps makes it easy for everybody. Initially, we had problem. Why do we have problem with caps? Because it doesn't allow people to travel. Okay. Because you don't need to travel anywhere. The VC is seeing the screen. I'm seeing the screen. And 4 a.m. this morning, I called somebody from Auchi. I called the person up and I said, you did this around 2 a.m. He said, who are you? I said, I'm registrar of JAM. He said, around 2 a.m. Yes, you did this. You registered this candidate with number so. He said, oh, because I woke up in the night, I check it. Why are you registering at 2, 3 a.m.?
When there's no difference in time zone.
And by the time, the man just shouted and said, these people are witch. He was telling somebody apparently, because they didn't know that technology, as you are doing it, the system, and I monitor everywhere, anywhere I go, I monitor the thing.
Professor Oloyede, well, thanks a lot. I mean, we'll have the opportunity of getting the feedback from the other guests in terms of their appreciation of caps, but clearly, we are saying what a regulator should do. Yeah, sure. And how a regulator should go about his business.
And I think they should know that the regulator is not a witch anyway.
Yeah, this is a regulator who never sleeps, like the Godfather. All right, you're watching Good Morning Nigeria. We're live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're taking a short break now. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation. We had thought that we would be in a position to exhaust all of the issues, but the more our guests are speaking, the more that we realize that we're actually expanding the coast. But let's go on this break.
My name is Nancy Oyedia Orom. I'm AIT correspondent. I've been covering the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 the last 1 year. I just took the jab, the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, and it was seamless. And I was opportune to take these vaccines with the SGF, the ministers. So I want to use this medium as a journalist for someone who has experienced COVID in the last 1 year. I want to implore media houses, broadcast industries. Let's join hands together to propagate the good information out there for people to believe in these vaccines. That's the only way we can have health immunity and also achieve the projection and target of Nigeria come 2022. Well, I must implore all Nigerians to go out there, register on the Primary Healthcare Development Agency website. These vaccines are free for all Nigerians. Go to the website, register. It is free for you and I.
Wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher, you I fell a
The premiere of the new season of The Village Headmaster, initially scheduled for the second quarter of 2021, has now been postponed till further notice. We apologize for this short notice and promise to keep our viewers and advertisers informed as soon as we have a new date.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders. We are trying, shall.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
My name is Dr. Faisal Shuaib. I am the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Earlier today, I took my first shot of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Despite all of the delays, all of the doubts, here we are, Nigerians can finally access the vaccines. I hope that Nigerians will come out and get these vaccines because these vaccines are safe, they're effective, and they truly work. Over the course of the next few weeks, we have to continue wearing face masks, we have to do social distancing, but I know eventually once we're able to get herd immunity, then we'll be able to stop all of these non-pharmaceutical interventions. To get the vaccination, you should go to the NPHCDA website. There's a link on there that you click and you can register and schedule exactly where you want to get your vaccine.
All right, you're still watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Just before we return to both Kano and Ota for our other two guests to make their contributions, I just want the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ilori and current Registrar and CEO of JAM, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, to respond to this. You talked about a great number of things. Now, in an earlier part of the operations of JAM, candidates used to have first, second, third choice of universities. And I think there were also two course choices, course of first choice, course of second choice. But it appears these days that a candidate literally has no choice. You fill in just one university, and I think, assuming the candidate doesn't want to go to a college of education or a polytechnic, a candidate is probably just allowed one entry of university. So that if a candidate wishes to make a transfer or otherwise, again, of course, I know you talked about the window of change, what that other university will be telling you is that, did you take us as first choice? Even private universities are already asking that question. So the question there would be, why is there this limitation on the choices that candidates have of institutions to apply to?
Thank you very much. Every candidate, indeed, we increased the choice rather than reducing it. Prior to 2016, they have first choice, second choice, third choice. When I came, I made it 4. 4, that one of it, no matter your choice, one must be IEI. You can make it number 1, you can make it number 2, you can make it number 3, you can make it number 4, but one of it must be your fallback position. That in case you do not have...
What's IEI?
IEI, this is what do we call it, Jerry? Because I call it IEI.
All right, that's okay.
That
that's
is,
okay.
I will remember,
we'll find
Entrepreneur Institutes. Okay. These are institutes that offer NID, National Innovation Enterprise Institutions.
Okay. Mostly polytechnics.
They are not polytechnic, they are like monotechnic. Okay. They don't offer ND, they offer NID. Okay. National Innovative Diploma. They are largely, 90% are privately owned. They are skill centers. Okay. Like the NTA in Jos, you have one of those IEIs there. So these IEIs, we say that every candidate, you must pick one of the four. So a candidate pick four. You can pick 2 universities. You can, but the third one must be either a polytechnic or a university, a college of education. Or you may pick every 1, 2, 3 college of education. 1, 2, 3 polytechnic. But one of the 3, the first 3, one of the 3 must be a polytechnic or a college of education. You can't pick 3 universities, but you can pick 2 universities and then pick a college of education or a polytechnic.
And in the 2 universities you pick, the one must be a private or one must be a state or just university general?
What we have is that there are certain universities that you cannot pick them together. You can't pick Unilag and University of Ibadan. You can't pick University of Ibadan and Abuja. Because the further when I saw what University of Abuja wrote, I smiled. They say they are the only one with natural, which is not true. It's because they don't know the rules. Do you get the point? University of Ibadan has the whole nation as its catchment states. So you can't pick a university like that, 2 of them together. So, but you can pick University of Ibadan, for example, and pick University of University or University of Jos as your second choice. Then you pick. But where the problem is coming from is that during the first admission, the university go first admission. Those who pick them by second choice, they will do them after they have done the first choice. But candidates are where when they have their result and they know that they score very well, they will quickly change. I won't wait till I am second choice. I change to your first choice, and we allow them to do that. If you are choosing University of Ilorin, for example, as your first choice for medicine, and you have chosen University of Ibadan as your second choice for the same medicine, but suddenly you now discover that you scored 350, which means you meet the requirement of University of Ibadan, you can quickly apply and say, I want to change my second choice Ibadan to first choice. We give them the opportunity before the closing of the gate. Every university tells us when to close the gate. Every individual institution will write to us to say, I want to close my gate on so day, and we close that gate. It means nobody can change to that institution as first choice because they are ready to do. But before conducting their admission, you can change from second choice. But if you wait, but the reality is that only few cases that they will consider second choice because those who apply for their first choice are more than. So when candidates now see that they meet the requirement, they are the one rushing there. Candidates, as they are doing registration now, they are picking 4 institutions. You can pick 2 universities if you like. You can pick 4 colleges of education. You can pick 4 polytechnics, but you can't pick 4 universities. You can pick 3 colleges of education, 3 polytechnics, but because the 4th one must be an IEA, Innovative Enterprise Institutions.
Okay, Professor Shakwi, thank you so much. You've raised so many issues here, and of course, some of these are supposed to be responded to by our other guests. But I'm very much concerned about the issue of awareness now, which you're talking about is soul bowling, or rather, cascading down into education. Professor Shehu Alhaji Musa, the candidates are within your reach. They are within Kano State and the environs. And of course, what the registrar is saying is that a lot needs to be done, from all indications, on your part as institutions in order to educate the parents, the students, and of course the community on how to go by this process in order to be free from any, default or fault or difficulty in trying to get admission. How much awareness is there on your part to the stakeholders as such?
Well, we have a series of programs when it comes to the admission exercise. We do a lot of live programs in radio stations, and we also do a lot of, discussions and visitations to the traditional institutions, those that are within reach. But I can assure you, in terms of the need to further educate in terms of the opportunities that are there, I can assure you people are now becoming very aware of what has been happening in the university. For instance, when I came on board about 7 years ago, we don't get up to more than 50% of what we really wanted to even take. So we have to do what you call sourcing. We now have to move out and try to, marshal students from various places. But as I speak today, the university have much more higher number than the university can even admit. So obviously, while we do the campaign and other issues, we also need to also understand that when you are, for example, the carrying capacity of Kano University of Science and Technology is 5,100. And I think the last 7 years, it was 1,800. But even at the 5,000 now, we now have more number of students that are applying, sometimes about 7,000, 8,000 are applying. And this is what we can actually admit. So sensitization has really helped us and put things on track. Just if I can briefly mention what I've earlier started in terms of the coverage of the university, I can assure you for the last 17 years, the best graduating student of the university in the name of Chinwe Grace Okafo was from Abia State, 17 years, and she graduated with a GPA of 4.83, which the university offered her automatic employment, and Alhaji Aliko Dangote, as the chancellor of the university, also offered her on automatic employment. It was just last year that her record was taken over by Munir Abba. But quickly, I want to say that what the registrar have said in terms of CAPS, I think CAPS have done a lot of revolution in terms of admissions in universities. Apart from time saving, apart from financial resources saving, it's also given an opportunity to track all the activities that is going on. And it also support in terms of showcasing the transparency of the system. So obviously, there are quite a number of innovations, and I believe universities are also measuring up to ensure that they key into that system. Maybe the CAPS, if there is any limitation about it, is the fact that sometimes, the awaited result issue gives some concern. But the number that you really need to admit now are higher than that. So even that may not be that of a serious, challenge, so to say. Probably we need to continue on this track, and we need to do, as you have rightly said, Mr. Yusuf, we really need to do further education and to ensure that people are being carried along in terms of the available opportunities that are within public and private institutions. And that will now help in terms of, because the whole crux of the matter is the issue of number. You have more number than you can actually admit. So whether you gave 10 options in terms of the choices and the rest of them, that quantum, the demand in terms of access to higher education is so huge, and it may take some while for Nigeria to be able to resolve this issue. Even with the expansion in the private universities, and probably with the proliferations of additional state universities. For example, Kano here, we have 2 state universities. So obviously, I think the registrar, in terms of the revolution for CAPS, the organization has done well, and we're fully aware of that, and I think we appreciate that.
Okay, Professor Alhaji Musa, thank you very much there for your comments. Let's bring in once again Professor Ojediran, Vice Chancellor of Best University at Ota in Ogun State. Professor Ojediran, well, this might not be an issue significantly for privately owned universities that in general tend to run very stable academic calendars. But we have seen over the years, on account of the frequency of industrial actions, either by ASU, SANU, NASU, and all the various unions you have in public universities, that the academic calendar is disrupted. So sometimes you are not quite sure for which years that admissions are going on. So the point came up last week. Unfortunately, we are pressed for time to drill into it. And that has to do with the validity of UTME scores. Should it just be one-off? That's to say, you write it this year, so you are stuck with it for this year. If you're unable to gain admission for for that particular year for which you wrote the UTMB, then of course, you're tough luck, you have to sit for it again. But we do know that elsewhere, for instance, whether you're writing for graduate admissions, GMAT or GRE, those scores usually have a validity that is longer, in a number of cases, more than 1 year. Is this something that we can also take a look at here to say that, look, yes, this year you had a good score. Unfortunately, we were not able to get in. Could you carry over the score to another year? What are your thoughts?
Can you get me the last question? It's not very clear.
Okay, my question is, in your opinion, what should be the validity of a UTME score? 1 year only, or a year and more, or 2, or XYZ?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, and let me first and foremost commend the JAMB registrar for the great work he's been doing. When you have a procedure and you have rules and regulations and you follow it, you are good to go. And that has made our own job here a lot easier. So we just go straight by the rules, straight by records, and we're done. The JAMB scores for the previous years are not used in the current year. JAMB score stays for only 1 year, and the following year, we use the next JAMB score. The admissions, like I mentioned, is based on carrying capacity. I did not get your last question very well. There's echoing around here. I do not know. Maybe I'm answering that. But straight to the point is that the CAPS has helped the university extensively. And keeping to that gives all private university vice chancellors easy ride. It's either you're there or you're not there. So just have 2 criteria to look at: your WAEC result, which must be okay, and the minimum score, which is a cutoff agreed at the policy meeting. Those 2 issues, those 2 criteria are the ones that we use. Admission this year has been very straightforward, has been good. We do not have issues of strikes in the private universities. As such, our calendars have been following our calendars rigidly and regularly. So we have not lost any semester, not lost any time. And our students, for instance, are starting exams Monday next week for the 100 level and 200 level. For the 300 and to 500 level, they have finished their own exams. In fact, they have started their second semester. So because we're able to go through this online and through the lectures and examinations, we did not have any disruptions of our calendar.
Okay, all right. Professor Ojediran, thank you very much. I want to pose the question to the JAMB registrar. Validity of UTM scores. I mean, it's been in the public domain. Very briefly.
The issue is that exams, many people don't know that in education, examination has a purpose. Exam that we set is not an examination for achievement, to attain achievement. You can't say this is going to be the pass mark before the exam, or even after the result must have come. That's when you say this is where we draw it. But achievement test, the one that has a validity beyond 1 year, are questions that are set on the basis of achievements. That is, this is the quantity of chemistry you must know. This is the quantity of physics you must know. Anybody who does not have 50% of that cannot go in. But in our own case, a ranking exam, there are 1,000 of you want to take 500. The last person we want to take may score 10%, because that's not what qualified them for admission. Many people have forgotten that what qualified the candidate for admission are the O levels. This exam that we are setting, and I always give this example. You have a car. Your car can take only 4 of your children, and you have 10 children, and you want to go to Lagos. You set an exam for them. One scored 9, another one scored 8, another one scored 2, another scored 1. You can't say the third person who scored 2, I will leave the vacant seat and drive because you have 2/10. You are ranking them. Number 2 is the third person. He must take his seat. It's not the quality. You can't say because it's called 2/10, therefore the seat, you will drive the seats to Lagos vacant. It's a ranking examination. Ranking examination is meant to rank people. For example, I give you this thing. Somebody scored 280 this year. He wants to read medicine at the University of Ibadan. You say bank it. Even if he banks it for 10 years, he cannot go to Ibadan to read medicine. Because 280 will, because some people will take exam and they will score 350, 340. Are you saying he should be given preference over those people? He has to be ranked every year. So, and students, even if you tell them, they won't listen because they want to improve on their performance.
So virtually, Prof, you're saying that it's only for
the purpose, the exam
all right,
set,
it's okay.
It's not
so,
an achievement
all right,
test.
We
It's
thank
a
you.
ranking test.
We thank you so very much, yes, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, JAM Registrar and former Vice Chancellor, for being on this program this morning.
Thank you very much.
We also thank Alaji Shehu Alaji Musa, the Vice Chancellor Kano, and then, of course, Professor Oludele Ojejiron for being part of this program this morning. We thank you all for watching. That was Good Morning Nigeria. I'm Yusuf Darabu Suman. See you tomorrow.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
NTA, you can't beat the reach.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can't beat the reach.
This is the network service of the NTA.